And you're back to another episode of PT Meal Podcast, a buffet of play, therapies, movement, exercises, activities, and leisure, all packed in a hearty conversation of physical therapy profession and practice. I am Johan Dela Paz, your host, and as always, welcome back to the show. So for today's episode, ang pag-usapan naman natin ay recently concluded na Philippine Physical Therapy Licensure exam, and to help me with that is the top notcher ng Physical Therapy Licensure exam, si Jasmine Lianne Esguerra. So she was, sabi ko nga, top notcher siya. She got a 90.40% rating. So welcome to the show, Jasmine.
Yes, thank you po for having me again.
Alright, so napaka-exciting. So bago natin pag-usapan yung nangyari sa'yo, pagiging top 1 mo, kwentuhan mo muna kami ng a little bit about yourself. Bakit mo pinili yung physical therapy? At siguro what led you to that path?
So to be honest po, physical therapy talaga wasn't really my first choice na course ng college.
Uh-huh.
Pero I've come to love it naman as the years go by. Pero ang first choice ko talaga is fine arts na course. Pero since most of my siblings are in pre-med courses, naging second choice ko na din siya. And out of all the pre-med courses, marami pati ang anatomy daw kasi ng physical therapy. Yun ang sabi ng kapatid ko. Kasi actually PT din siya.
Okay, nice.
Oo.
It runs in the family.
Yun yung napili ko na course. And mahilig kasi ako mag-drawing ng mga portraits and yung mga human figures. And sabi niya, maraming anatomy dyan sa PT. So yun. And na-enjoy ko din siya ng pagiging PT, lalo na nung 5th year internship. Kasi nakapag-handle na ako ng mga patients. And I can say na physical therapy talaga is one of the most rewarding professions in the medical field. Kasi you get to see your patients improve every session eh. And it's not just about coming up of a treatment plan. You also take in consideration the patient as a whole para you're able to provide the best for the patient so you can return them to their previous self or to their maximum potential.
Okay, gusto ko yung sagot mo na yan. It's really fulfilling. That's other people who don't know the real extent ng reward sa atin as a physical therapist to see our patients get stronger, walk better, get up from their chairs and walk by themselves na hindi kailangan us. It's really rewarding, it's really fulfilling. You mentioned earlier nung nag-usap tayo, you graduated 2020, right?
March
2020, and you took your exam December 2021. Ang haba nung paghihintay kasi dahil sa pandemic. So how did you feel when the exam got postponed because of what happened?
So parang if I'm not mistaken, 3 beses talaga siya na-postpone. So after nung first postponement, yun talaga parang devastated kami kasi naka-review na kami and all, parang nabigay na namin. Tapos ayun nga, postponement na naman. Tapos yung second, parang hindi na kami nagtaka kasi yun yung time na marami talagang cases noon. Tapos yung third, yun, parang after na, hindi na talaga kami naniniwala. Parang totoo pa ba yan yung schedule na binibigay nila? Pero yun nga, nung December 2021, natuloy na talaga. Pero siguro before, yung parang 2 weeks before, hindi pa siya talaga nagsisink in sa akin na mag-board exam na talaga kami. Kaya nung 2 weeks na yun, parang kinabahan na ako. Parang sabi ko, parang hindi pa na-postpone na. Tuloy na yata talaga. Ganon.
Hindi na kayo umasa na matutuloy kasi lagi na po-postpone.
Kasi may bago pang variant noon. Pero yun, buti natuloy naman siya.
Is it like the traditional setting na you would go to a school tapos doon sasagutan yung exam? Ganun pa rin ba yung nangyari?
Ganun pa po. Hindi pa siya ginawang online eh. Pen and paper pa rin. Pero mas maaga lang kami, I think. Ang dati daw normal na meeting time is 6:30. Kami parang 5 nandun na kami kasi chinek lahat yung quarantine na certificate namin or yung swab test namin. So, mas maaga lang siya.
I see. Okay. Tapos, less people din sa isang classroom. Ganun ba ginawa nila?
Parang 10 lang kami. I don't know kung ganun din dati.
Dati hindi. Marami kami sa isang classroom. Parang one seat apart lang ang datingan ng mga tables namin. So sa inyo, malaki talaga yung gap.
And naka-face shield pa kami and mask.
Oh, sure. Hindi uncomfortable nun habang sumasagot kayo ng exam.
Yung face shield ko nga nasira pa kaya nakataas lang siya. Pinayagan naman ng proctor.
Ang hirap. Pag naka-face shield ako, minsan nagpa-fog pa yun pag humihinga ka.
Oo, hassle lalo pag may eyeglasses pa po.
Napaka-challenging naman ng pinagdaanan ng batch niya. Alright, so tell us, how did you prepare for the exam? Pag-usapan siguro natin yung ano yung ginawa mo to reach that certain level of being top one, top-notcher. Ano yung mga preparations mo, study habits siguro?
For me, nakatulong talaga sa akin yung mga review centers. So, sinundan ko lang talaga yung flow nila kung ano yung lecture for the day, and I take yung pre and post quizzes nila. Pero since kami nga yung batch na tinamaan ng pandemic, tas 3 board exam postponements pa yung nangyari, mas marami talaga akong time na review nun. Kasi nakailang batch ako ng review center nun. Parang more than a year kasi ako nakapag-review eh. So, every cancellation, we would take naman yung mga study breaks. After nun, another study schedule na naman, parang refresh na naman. So, it was really exhausting din kasi talaga mentally tiring din kasi lalo na lockdown. We didn't have much freedom to unwind during that time. And for my study habits, I guess, lagi ako gumagawa ng schedule ko. Parang paiba-iba siya. Yung ginagawa ko timeline for the day. Kung anong oras ako gigising, how many hours ilalaan ko for studying, then anong oras ako matutulog. So, depende na lang talaga siguro yun sa'yo kung mas nakakaaral ka ng gabi or morning. Kasi for me, I study late at night. So, siguro binago ko lang yun nung board exam na. Kasi maaga yung exam. So, tinry ko mag-aral na in the morning para hindi ako makatulog.
I see. So, ito ginawa mo, simula pa lang preparation for the supposedly first na exam pa lang dapat na schedule bago ma-postpone. Tapos inulit-ulit mo lang siya kada repeat.
Nung una po, yun yung talaga yung pinakamasipag ko na batch. Yung first. Tapos yung second, medyo patamad na ng patamad. Pero yun nga, kaya naman. Kasi habang tumatagal naman, parang medyo na ma-memorize mo na siya kasi parang paulit-ulit lang din naman yung inaaral.
Sabi nga na repetition is really good for recall. Yung study habits mo, is it the same as when you were a student or parang nag-rev up ka lang ng study habits when you were preparing for your licensure exam?
Nung student kasi ako, medyo book-based pa ako ng student. Mahilig talaga ako yung mga nagbabasa ng libro, yung mga hina-highlight ko talaga yung mga libro. Nung board exam na ako, nung unang batch talaga originally, ang bala ko is, yun nga, yun sa review center na lang talaga. Pero yun nga, kasi matagal, nakuha rin ako ng time na magbasa ng onting books. Pero siguro ang suggestion ko, kasi hindi naman lahat na mag-board exam, katulad namin siguro na 1 year ang preparation. Siguro talagang, na lang, yung sa review center, kasi 5 years mo naman siya inaral eh. So, tiwala ka na lang na maalala mo talaga yung mga inaral mo before.
Tama. So, aside from the review center's material, did you use any other study materials or review materials during your preparation?
Nung nag-review kasi ako, pinaka lagi ko talagang ginagamit is yung flashcards, lalo na yung app, yung Anki na app. I don't know if alam nung iba yun, pero meron siya sa mobile phone mo or sa laptop mo na app eh. So if kunyari aalis ka, nagigilty ka, hindi ka nag-aaral sa labas or ganun. So pwede mo mag-flashcards ka lang. Kasi doon ko nilalagay yung mga pre and post quizzes na question ng review center. And yung mga book review questions, yung mga guides, yung mga ganun, yung mga sikat na book review questions ng physical therapy. Doon ko siya nilagay lahat. So every time na magpa-flashcards ako, pipili lang ako kung anong review gusto kong aralin for the day. And what I like about it, kasi pwede siyang ma-adjust na pag lagi mo siyang nasasagot na tama, mas less siya magpapakita. And pag lagi mo siya nakakamali, mas more siya ilalabas until ma-master mo siya. So, yun talaga yung ginamit ko. And nung malapit na yung board review din, like flashcards na lang ako para ma-refresh lang.
Ano pangalan ng app?
Anki. A-N-K-I.
Oh, okay. So may question na siya na naka-install tapos you just have to answer it?
Ikaw maglalagay ng question.
Ikaw maglalagay ng questions. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Tapos kada na nakukuha mo siya ng tama, binabawasan niya yung pagpapakita ng question na yan. Ganda nun Sana may ganun kami noon. Para maganda to Para hindi na kami nagdadala ng paper na. Kami, nung time namin, index card. Kami gumagawa ng sarili ng flashcards. Tapos reviewer namin, index card na malalaki. Yung mga review materials.
Pangit po kasi sulat ko, kaya hindi talaga ako nagbe-base masyado sa notes, sa sarili notes. Lagi lang ako nagpiprint.
Nag-print? Para mas okay. Did you really aim to be a top-notcher when you were preparing? Sinasabi mo sarili mo na magtatap ako. Or was it a surprise na you just did your best tapos, top-notcher ako?
Siguro lahat naman na nag-review, nag-aim to become a top-notcher. Kasi yun talaga yung sinasabi sa amin nung nagre-review pa lang kami, na aim to be a top-notcher. Siyempre, magre-review ka na lang. I-aim mo na yung pinaka-highest na spot, diba? Yung top 1. So yun, although hindi ko siya in-expect no mismong results na, pero yun talaga yung in-aim ko na maging top-notcher. As in, like, yung password ko mismo sa PRC talagang yun, top-notcher, gano'n. yung mga notes ko sa harap ng whiteboard, yun yung nakalagay para yun talaga yung matatak sa isip ko.
If you see it, you'll believe it and it will happen. Sabi nga nila. Nice. So ano yung motivation mo to study hard and to aim that high?
Siguro, during my board review kasi, it was really hard to stay motivated with studying. Kasi we were online and maraming distraction. Pero I guess what kept me motivated was yung constant thought of who am I doing this for, which is for my parents. Kasi it's the least thing that I can do for all of the things that they've given me. So yun yung iniisip ko. And also the constant thought of what am I doing this for and why, which is also for myself. Because I want to be a professional someday, want to give back to my parents. And I also want to become a licensed physical therapist so I can treat more patients and be able to improve the lives of other people in need of physical rehabilitation. So yun lang talaga inisip ko.
Right. Nice. You mentioned earlier that you were choosing like a pre-med course. Are you going to enroll to med school, or are you gonna try to see if physical therapy is for you? If you enjoy it, mag-stay ka muna sa physical therapy. If not, med school.
During nung board review ko actually, kasi nga lagi siya napopostpone. Naisip ko talaga na mag-med na kasi baka mas mauna pa yung med. So nangyari during my board review, nag-enroll pa ako ng isa pang review center for NMAT, which is yung National Medical Admission Test. So every Saturday, Sunday ko lang siya in-enroll for about 2 weeks yata or 1 month. So yun yung nire-review ko. So nag-take ako, kasi nga akala ko di rin matutuloy. Nag-take ako ng October lang. So just a few months before ng board exam. Nag-take pa ako ng NMAT exam, which is online, hindi siya pen and paper tulad ng dati. Online lang siya. So yun. So in case na hindi siya matuloy, magme-med na dapat ako nun.
Ay natuloy yung exam. Okay. So hindi mo na itutuloy yung pag-med mo, or it's still an option out there?
It's still an option po kasi medyo nag-iisip pa po ako yun kasi nga nag-rest pa yung utak ko from the board exam. Pero marami kasi pong nag-offer din na mag-work and study abroad, yung mga NPTE. So yun, pinag-iisipan ko po kung tutuloy ko.
Oo. And I hear some med students, since online pa rin naman ang education, nasa ibang bansa na, doon na nga lang sila nagte-take ng online courses nila. So parang ang galing naman. Ang galing. You can study anywhere at this point. I mean at this during this time, parang it opened up opportunities for other people to be somewhere else while studying. So I think isa na naman siya sa magandang mga nangyari with the pandemic. So, while preparing for your board exam, kasi nung kami, we have certain rituals or habits or like superstitions. Nung naghahanda ka ba, did you have some habits or rituals or superstitions that you observe when you were preparing?
Ang mga superstitions na nagawa ko during the board exam is yung pagputol ng lead ng pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Yung akala ko una yung pencil pa yung puputulin. Yung lead lang pala. So, yun. And also, dinonate ko din yun.
Mm-hmm.
Pero ang problema, after board exam ko siya donate. And sabi nila, bawal pala lumingon. And nangyari, dahil nga idodonate ko yung pencil, bumalik ako. So, sabi nila, bawal daw yun kasi parang ang ibig sabihin daw nun is magre-retake ka kasi babalik ka. Pero anyway, oo. Pero anyway, yun nga, bumalik ako kasi nga dinonate ko yung pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos, nung second day naman, may nabasa ako sa Facebook nun kasi nga nagtitingin ako ng mga pamahiin kasi nga nakalimutan ko nung first day.
Mm-hmm.
Yung second day, meron ako nabasa para daw mag-top ng board exam. Itatap mo daw yung whiteboard. So yun, nagawa ko siya nung second day. So baka totoo naman.
Nung time namin, sinabihan din kami na i-break, ay hindi naman, sinabihan ako ng sister ko na baliin daw yung pencil pagkatapos mo ng exam para daw tapos na, hindi mo na uulitin. At tapos yung mga, naman, yung sabi naman sa amin, nung nagtitake na kami, huwag na lang daw namin baliin, i-donate na lang namin. So after namin, yung first day, donate. Tapos second day, donate din. Tapos ano ba? Sinabihan kami na before ka magte-take na exam, dapat wala ka nang gagawin that day. I mean, dapat relax talaga yung utak mo. Wala ka ng last minute na review, wala ka ng last minute na basa. Dapat clear yung mind mo the night or the day before. Ikaw ba, what did you do the days before the mismo exam?
The day before, sabi nga nila mag-rest nga daw. Pero ako kasi, sobrang kabado ko talaga nun. Kasi nga, parang last minute na siya nag-sink in sa akin na matutuloy na. Mm-hmm. So, di talaga ako nakapag-rest nun. Parang gusto ko man mag-rest, pero hindi ako makarest. So, yung last day, nilaan ko na lang siya mag-scan na lang ako ng mga notes ko. So, yun lang yung ginawa ko. Nag-scan lang talaga.
Yung hindi seryoso ang basa, as in, lang, skim and scan lang.
Yung lahat.
Okay. So who or what were your support system during your preparation? Sino yung mga tumulong sa'yo along the way?
I'm grateful talaga for my parents kasi they were the call my dad during my study breaks, so always remind me to stay healthy pa rin and to take breaks from studying. Kasi ako, I barely went out talaga the house during my board review kasi nga may pandemic. Pero kahit ganun, I'm really thankful for my friends kasi we still kept in touch. Mm-hmm. And I feel like mababaliw talaga ako nung lockdown if not for them.
I think the review centers na in-attendan mo, it's all online? Is it live
online. Or? May live, pero kasi may nag-work sa amin. So, hindi nakaka-attend ng live. So, may option ka din na recorded na yung papanoorin mo.
Okay din na. Maganda na options din nila.
Maganda rin sa review center kasi po, meron silang before, dahil nga lagi napopostpone, meron silang yung parang motivational speaker din. Every weekends yata yun, pwede ka mag-attend.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Mm-hmm. Pang rev up lang ng ng soul mo, kumbaga. Right, talking about review centers, do you feel that it was it had a big impact in you being a top-notcher, or do you feel that your education was enough pero na reinforce lang ng pag-attend ng review centers? Or what did the review center offered you during the preparation?
Siguro ako kasi nag-review center ako and nakita ko talaga yung tinuturo kasi nila mga high yield question na talaga eh. Kasi yung 5 years na inaral mo, syempre ang dami nun. And syempre kung ako yun, parang mahihirapan ako kung saan ako magsisimula, kung ano dapat aralin ko kasi sobrang dami talaga ng inaral mo within that 5 years eh. But I think, kunyari kung ikaw talaga nag-aral ka naman talaga ng 5 years na yun and confident ka, I think yes, yung 5 years na I've spent in college, for me, kahit kabado pa rin ako nung nag-take ng board exam. Well, sino ba yung hindi, diba? Pero I think enough na yung 5 years na yun. So, marami naman ako kilala na parang hindi sila nag-review center kahit nag-top sila kahit hindi sila nag-review center. So, sobrang believe talaga ako sa mga taong ganon. Kasi nga, self-study sila eh. Lalo na yung mga kabatch ko na nag-start na mag-work during yung board review and then nag-board exam. So, yun, believe talaga ako sa kanila kasi na nasabay nila yung work and review.
So I guess it's just a matter of knowing how to prioritize what you're going to study, the structure and stuff, which the review center offers. But if you, as a person, as a student, or as a someone who takes time to organize that, pwede mo na siyang gawin, and that's possible then as well. I see. All right. So having passed and with flying colors the licensure exam, in your opinion, do you think the exam properly measured your competency as a physical therapist? Talaga bang na-feel mo na ay ito talaga yung mga gagawin or dapat alam ng physical therapist? Or is it, as other batches would say, medyo trivial yung questions? What is your opinion on that?
Your competency kasi in becoming a physical therapist measures a lot of aspects eh. And I feel like the physical therapy licensure exam measures your knowledge from the 5 years that you've studied the course. And it gauges your ability to do critical thinking. And even though we do not have a direct access yet here in the Philippines, we still study and learn about our patient's diagnosis so we can treat them better and to be able to plan out a management for which they will benefit the most. Pero although para sa akin, may mga tao kasing mas magaling pagdating sa practical kaysa sa theoretical exams. And hindi ibig sabihin if hindi ka pumasa ng board exam, hindi ka na magaling na physical therapist. Kasi marami akong kilalang second take passer na sobrang galing na PT mag-treat. So, ng kanyang patient or client. So, I guess, in a way, it measures your theoretical knowledge. Pero when it comes to the skills talaga in becoming a competent physical therapist, you will improve that once you get to treat yung real patients na talaga.
Right. And also, kasi I also believe na the exam, the licensure exam, would just measure the bare minimum of what a physical therapist needs to know, the knowledge part, and getting better and your patient care, your approach to your co-workers, yun ang ibang mga factors that would tell that you are a competent physical therapist. Tama, I agree with you. So now that you're a licensed physical therapist, what are you looking forward to with your fresh eyes as a new member of our profession?
Right now, although di ko pa nakuha kasi yung PRC ID ko eh. Pero I'm still thinking of whether I should work in a rehab center for clinical experience. Pero sabi ko nga, I'm also getting some offers to study and work abroad as a PT. And also nasabi ko na rin na nag-take na ako ng NMAT for med school. Kaya currently ngayon, I'm in the process of applying in medical schools. So I'm looking forward to continue pa my studies.
Right. Nice. For your future colleagues who are listening ng mga magdete ng board exam or students who are siguro dreading the the licensure exam na medyo palapit na sila doon, what can you advise them as a student or as someone who's already graduate and about to take their licensure exam?
Ma-advise ko lang, if you're in a review center right now, siguro, sundan nyo lang talaga yung review center and tuwala lang talaga makakapasa kayo. Kasi ako, iniisip ko parang dati, bilib na bilib ako sa mga nagtatop na mga batchmates namin noon eh. Parang sabi ko, ano kayang feeling noon? Pero yun nga, nung nakapasa na ako and nag-top, parang sabi ko, parang siguro pag nandun ka na, parang medyo mas madadalian ka na dun sa mga tanong. Ewan ko, parang compare mo sa mga ni-review mo, yung mga compre exam, parang mas, siguro 5 years kasi, mas nasanay ka na mag-take ng exam. Pag nandun ka na, syempre kakabahan ka nung una. Pero pag nandun ka na nag-e-exam, mas magiging chill ka na. I don't know kung same experience, pero sa akin ganun. And also, kung hindi ka man nag-review center, tiwala ka na lang kasi 5 years mo nga siyang naaral. Pero although ngayon pala, ang new curriculum pala ngayon is 4 years na lang ata.
4 years na lang ngayon.
Dahil sa K-12. So yun. And also pray talaga. Kasi ako nung before board exam, hindi ako naka-attend ata ng mass nun. Pero before ako matulog talaga ng board exam, kahit hindi talaga ako makatulog, nagdadasal na ako, Lord, patulogin niyo na ako, baka makatulog ako ng board exam. So, 3 a.m. ako umalis ng bahay kasi Manila pa eh. Hindi ako taga Manila. So, ang tagal ng biyahe namin. So, nagdadasal talaga ako na matulog na ako kasi baka makatulog ako sa board.
Naalala ko na sinabi mo yung pray. Naalala ko nung time namin, parang, ang tawag na, nag-visit kami ng iba't ibang churches. Tapos doon kami mag-pray. Tapos, St. Jude lagi. Punta kami lagi kay St. Jude. Hopeless cases. Tapos nag-aalay kami ng itlog doon sa may Katipunan. Sige, gawin natin lahat. Makapasala lang tayo.
Ako, after ng board exam na ako nakapag-alay ng mga candle and yung St. Jude. Kasi malapit lang sa kami nag-exam sa may San Beda, sa may La Consolacion. And malapit lang din yung St. Jude. So, after ng board exam, doon talaga ako nagdasal kasi hindi nga ako nakapag-attend ng mass namin. So, nagdasal talaga ako na, sorry, hindi ako naka-attend ng mass. So, ngayon na lang ako magdadasal talaga.
Tama. And na-mention mo kanina yung pag-take ng practice exams. Siguro doon sa mga nakikinig din na if pag mababa yung mga scores nyo sa practice exams, don't worry. Kasi sometimes nga, as you mentioned, sometimes nasasanay ka lang sa pagsagot ng exam eh. Yun lang yung point ng practice exams eh. Pag nasanay ka sa pagsasagot ng practice exams, parang ang perception mo, parang andali na nung mismong exam. Tama naman eh. Kasi parang ganun din yung exam sa NPTE na ang hirap ng mga reviewers, yung sa Giles, yung sa Sullivan. Tapos, pagdating mo ng NPTE, case-based, parang, ganito, parang magugulat ka na magtataka na bakit medyo madali. Ikaw lang ba yun? O parang may mali ba sa'yo na parang nadadalian ka or parang something gano'n. So, yeah, tama. And as you said, trust your education, 5 years, 4 years, and pray and just relax and chill. Kasi pag ang kalaban talaga sa gano'n, di ba, yung panic eh. Minsan, pag nagpa-panic ka, mental block ka. So if you don't, if you don't think of it too much para hindi ka mag-panic, para relax lang yung thoughts mo, So yan, thank you for sharing your experience with us and giving us some advice para doon sa mga magte-take at magpe-prepare for the licensure exam. So I have my last 3 questions for you, my last 3 bites. My first bite is, what is your recipe for success?
I think nung college pa lang kasi ako is binigay ko na talaga yung effort talaga ng college kasi yun yung foundation mo talaga eh. So, nung college pa lang ako, nag-aral na talaga ako mabuti. Pero okay lang naman yun. Kunyari, hindi ka masyadong nag-aral ng college years mo kasi meron ka pa namang time to review for the board exam. Pero, kunyari, first year ka pa lang ngayon, siguro ang ma-advise ko is take mo seriously talaga yung mga foundations ng yung mga core subjects na major like anatomy, physio, kasi yun yung favorite ko talaga, anatomy and physio. And once na kasi ma-master mo yun, parang madali na lang kasi yung ibang topics na susunod. For me, yun kasi talaga yung ginawa ko. And siguro yun talaga, prayer lang talaga. Kasi hindi ko rin talaga in-expect na magta-top nga ako. So parang pinagdadasal ko lang talaga na everyday na, Lord, kayo na bahala.
Jesus, take the wheel. Aim high, sabi mo nga. Isipin mo talaga, magta-top notch ka, magta-top ka sa exam. Kung hindi mo man marating yun, at least you tried your best. You know that you tried your best to reach that dream. And I like that yung sinabi mo na magseryoso ka while you're still in college. Kasi tama ka eh. Pag nagseryoso ka sa college, gumawa ka ng sarili mong review materials, first year pa lang, second year pa lang, at least it would be easier for you to carry that over to when you're reviewing. All right, next question. How do you think should we as physical therapists elevate our profession?
For me, I think kahit physical therapist ka na, kunyari graduate ka na, I think para ma-elevate mo talaga yung profession mo is through studying and continuous learning talaga. Yung providing yung mga seminars, ganun. And kasi pag nagtitreat tayo, we do evidence-based practice, di ba?
Right.
Kaya importante talaga sa atin yung research, kahit hate na hate ko din yun nung college days ko talaga. Pero importante kasi talaga siya kasi doon naka-base ang ating profession. So, yun.
Nice. Continue education and, evidence-based practice. My last bite is, what are the 3 ingredients? It could be your motto, your characteristic, your attitude, behavior, Bible verse that you carry with you all day, every day in your life, that you feel that it's essential. So in short, what are the 3 things that make up Jasmine?
Okay. So, first is, actually nabasa akong verse dito na during nagbo-board review ako, naiisip ko siya. Kasi mahirap talaga to stay motivated.
Right.
Lalo na kami, di ba? More than a year kami. So, if you can't keep or stay motivated all the time, ang mas importante daw is to stay disciplined. So, kaya ako, ang ginagawa ko talaga ng board review is timeline talaga kung ano yung to-do list ko for the day, ano yung kailangan kong matapos aralin, anong oras ako gigising, ilang oras ilalaan ko for studying. Kunyari, 5 hours ako magbabasa nito. And I don't know kung effective sa inyo yung Pomodoro technique. I think yung every 25 minutes, 5 minutes. Pero ako, nung sinusunod ko yun, hindi ko siya nasusunod as 25 minutes. Ang nagagawa ko, tuloy-tuloy na lang. So, if ever magbe-break ako. Pero hindi ko na siya nasusunod as 25 minutes. Kasi pag ako nasa flow na ako, yun, tuloy-tuloy na lang. So, yun, stay disciplined na lang. Mas importante yun if you can't keep yourself motivated. And another thing is, siguro prayers lang talaga. Kasi pag ako, hindi na talaga ako na-motivate ng sarili ko. Lalo na parang, ang tagal namin ng board exam noon. Parang, nung board review namin, nagkaroon pa kami ng, parang may psychologist, I think, or may psych check sa amin. Kasi maraming nade-depress kasi ang tagal namin nag-review noon. So, although hindi ako nag-attend doon kasi nahiya talaga ako magsabi ng mga problem. Pero, if in-offer yun sa inyo na review center nyo, grab the opportunity na lang kasi importante din yung mental health nyo during review talaga. So, take breaks talaga kasi ako, madalas ako ma-burnout eh. Kasi nakakalimutan ko mag-rest talaga. So, kaya lagi akong nire-remind ng parents ko na to take a break, to rest. Kasi ako, tuloy-tuloy lang talaga ako lagi mag-review ng board exam kahit naka-academic break. Parang nagigilty ako sa sarili ko kapag nag-rest ako eh. Pero yun, take your mental health talaga seriously kasi yun, nakaka-stress talaga ang board review nun. And after nun, I think last ko na lang talaga is prayers nga. I don't know kung nasabi ko na ba, naulit ko ba?
Number 2 prayers.
So,
Number 3 prayers.
Number 2 prayers ba? Number 2 pala yung mental health.
Mental health, alright. Number 3 prayers.
Number 3 na lang prayers.
Alright.
Pero hindi, kahit hindi ka religious person, pero yun. Whatever works for you.
Right. See, whatever higher power you employ. Maganda yung suggestion mo sa Pomodoro eh. For those who are not familiar, mga nakikinig. Ito yung technique when you do your task for 20-25 minutes depending, on your style. Tapos you do it straight, then you force yourself to take a break. So parang 2 to 5 minutes, depende din sa iyo kung ano style mo. Then you do 20 to 25 minutes again of straight activity. So I think it works for people who gets easily distracted. Kung ikaw yung taong talagang hindi ka masyadong organized, this would force you, theoretically, kung talagang you would stick to it, to force yourself to work in that duration, yung 20 minutes na yan, dire-diretso na hindi ka distracted. So kung katulad ka naman ni Jasmine na when you're in the zone, tama lang yun. Continue mo lang yun. Pag mag-break ka, pag napagod ka na, then take your break. Hindi yung i-exhaust mo yung sarili mo dire-diretso. You mentioned about burnout earlier, and I want to ask, how do you manage being burned out? Do you recognize the symptoms of it, or do other people tell you, or kung magpahinga ka na, baka ma-burnout ka?
Sa sarili ko, napapansin ko na parang after a while, pag sobrang nare-review na talaga ako, parang may time na bigla na lang ako tatamarin, bigla na lang mawawala yung motivation ko. Parang kahit anong basa ko, wala na, tinatamad na ako, ganun. So, ang ginagawa ko pag ganun, I take siguro a week break talaga. Like, wala talaga akong re-reviewin. Kung anong gagawin ko is mag-enjoy lang ako, kunyari, mag-Netflix lang talaga ako. So, 1 week yun talaga na pure na wala akong babasahin. Like, yun lang talaga. Para mag-rest talaga yung utak ko. So, yun ginagawa.
Right. Tama yun. Lalo na doon sa situation yun na ang tagal nung magre-review kayo, postpone. Magre-review ulit kayo, postpone. The uncertainty of things, tapos the pressure of taking the licensure exam, all top with the collective stress of the pandemic. Ang bilib ako sa inyo, sa pinagdaanan nyo. At least, nalagpasan nyo na yung stress na yon. Ibang stress naman ng buhay ang haharapin ninyo. Alright. So again, thank you, Jasmine, for sharing your time with us and sharing your study habits, your being, your time management with us, and your motivation in reaching the top and being a, top-notcher, top one in the recently concluded Philippine Physical Therapy Licensure exam. As a takeaway, yung pabaon natin for our listeners today, what is that one thing that you want them to carry with them after listening to our conversation?
So, if you're listening, you're probably listening kasi you want to be a top-notcher din sa boards, diba? So, if you're aiming for that, syempre during board review, talagang aim for that talaga yung highest talaga. And basta review ka lang talaga and tiwala ka lang sa mga review mo. Kaya ako kasi nung nag-board exam ako, parang wala rin ako tiwala sa inaral ko, parang feel ko kulang pa siya, ganun. Kahit na 1 year na kami ng palagay na yun pero kinabahan pa rin ako. Feeling ko hindi pa ako prepared, hindi pa ako ready pa rin, ganun. Pero pagdating mo doon, may isip mo na okay na talaga, enough na talaga yung inaral mo, prepared ka na talaga for the board exam. And I think yung last nang nasasabihin ko nga is ako napaka-importante talaga sa akin nung take care of yourself during the board exam talaga for the board review preparation. Yun talaga. Kasi yung mental health mo talaga mas challenging talaga lalo na ngayon, online, pandemic pa, naka-lockdown pa minsan, di ka pa makalabas, ganun. And syempre yung friends mo, hindi mo sila makita personally. Ako, we just do Zoom calls din eh. Yung mga video call and FaceTime lang eh. So yun, still keep in touch pa rin sa kanila kahit na nagre-review ka. Kasi sila yung magki-keep sa'yo sane talaga during the board review eh. Hindi lang naman pwede puro aral ka lang talaga. Mahirap talaga pag ganun. Pero yun, focus ka pa rin. Keep your priorities. Pero at the same time, enjoy mo rin yung board exam review kasi it's really a rewarding experience kapag nakapasa ka na ng board exam. Parang may natanggalan ka na ng tinik sa puso or something. Pag nakita mo na yung pangalan mo sa list talaga ng board exam passers. So, yun.
Totoo yun. Yung malalaman mo, mag-text sa'yo na, oh, the results are out. Oh, what? Online na kayo lahat. So, ikaw, ano yung naramdaman mo ng, hinahanap mo na yung pangalan mo at nakita mo nasaan na ka? Top 1 ka. Ano yung initial reaction mo nun?
Actually ako, hindi ako yung una nakakita nung name ko. Kasi yung kapatid ko, lagi niyan chine-check. Usually kasi 3 days lang yung result lalabas na. Nung sa amin, parang umabot yan ng 1 week.
Matagal nga eh. Inaabangan ko rin eh.
Umabot siya ng 1 week. So, yun, lagi ako niloloko ng kapatid ko na, uy, lumabas na yung result. Hanggang sa, hindi na ako naniniwala kasi nga lagi niya ako niloloko na lumabas na yung result. So, yun, nung siya yung una nagsabi sa akin na, uy, pasado ka, nakita ko na yung surname natin. Tapos yun, nagulat na lang siya na nakita niya rin ako sa list ng top. So yun, nakagulat na. Tapos naiyak ako.
sila yung kasama mo sa bahay nung nalaman mo. Nakakatuwa naman. Nagtatalon ka?
Naiyak talaga ako.
Nakakatuwa. Maganda talaga yung feeling na makita yung pangalan sa mga examinees na are sa resulta. So yeah, it's something that you're gonna look forward to when you take your exam. Thanks. All right, so thank you again, Jasmine, for being in the show.
Thank you po again for inviting me, for having me in your podcast. This is my first podcast po talaga.
All right, I think and I hope ito yung umpisa pa lang. So we hope that we could talk to you again during your journey as a professional.